Hey guys, this is Dinosaur and today I want to show you guys how to draw the Dimetrodon. And this is technically not a dinosaur and I don't think it was requested by anyone, but the Dimetrodon was basically, I did a couple of sketches of it right here, and this is something that I kind of made up. And then I decided to, for some reason, try and draw Superman in my own style, and yeah, you can see I did everything from my head, so the face and everything, not everything is accurate, but uh, I I I like it pretty much. I mean, this is the first Superman I ever drew in my whole entire life. I never did it before, so I'm kind of proud of it. And I just did a couple of sketches because in the future I want to get more dynamic drawings going. So I thought that this might actually come in handy when you're drawing a dinosaur or a creature, a prehistoric animal, whatever, and you want to draw it in a more dynamic pose. This might come in handy. For example, if a dinosaur with huge hands or claws was to grab someone or something, then this would look pretty cool. So the Dimetrodon, I think it was called, is actually supposed to look like this. So I just wanted to show you guys these sketches, and yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so what you want to start with drawing is basically start drawing the body, and the body is you can kind of draw a shape like this to start off drawing his body, just very big triangular shape. I'm not sure if you can clearly see that. Let's see. Alright, this should be fine for now. So you want to start with drawing a shape like this, because over here will be his his chest area, and over here will be the area where his hind legs are attached. So now we want to draw a curved line for his back, and now we want to kind of draw a circle, and attached to this circle will be his tail, which is kind of, let's say the ground is over here, so it's kind of going down a bit because he's dragging his tail along, something like this. So now we can start drawing his neck, and I'm not really using any reference right now. I'm only gonna try to use a reference for his head. So he has a very short neck compared to most of the other dinosaur-like creatures. So now we want to draw his head, so we want to start off with drawing a circle, which is about the right size for the back of his skull, and then we want to draw a shape like this, which will be the shape of his head. So now we have the shape of his head in place. We can basically start with drawing the sail. So his sail goes up till about over here, so not exactly in the middle of the creature, but a little bit further forward, and then it kind of stops going up and it slowly goes down again with a curved line. So now we want to know where the how to draw all the bumps and ridges and everything. So I'm gonna start with drawing shapes like this, because at the back it kind of starts like this, and then the lines get straighter and straighter. So this way we will know how to draw the curves and everything. So now we can draw in those little curves in between every line. And now you can press down a little harder because we know exactly where the lines are going to be and where we have to put in those lines, so we can press down pretty hard. Now we want to focus a little bit more on his head, and right now I'm going to use a little bit of reference, so let's draw it with his mouth closed. Yeah, so what you want to do is draw a line like this, and then draw a curved line that goes all the way back to this area, and over here will be the end of his skull. Then we basically want to draw a curved line going in, and then a curved line kind of going like this, and this line goes on quite some distance back to his skull, and then it kind of goes like this. Now for his bottom jaw, it's pretty easy. Just start over here. Sorry, I'm not sure if you could see everything. And just draw something like this. And now we can actually try and attach the neck to the rest of his body and to his skull. So now we do have the basics and everything of the Dimetrodon. Every time I'm trying to say the name, I almost say Dimorphodon because the names are so similar. So I'm trying not to make that mistake. So now for his front limb, we want to make a hand that an arm that starts over here, and his hind limb kind of starts over here. So pay attention to that his arm is lower on his body than his leg. Alright, so we could draw the basic line for where the shoulder blade will be going, and then over here will be his hip, but you won't really see too much of it. So now we want to start drawing in his leg. Just draw in something like this, and over here will be his ankle, and this leg kind of goes like this. It goes in front of this area, so we can just draw a line like this. And then he has very tiny little fingers, which we won't draw in right now because it's not really necessary. We won't really see too much of it. And then kind of attach this to the rest of his arm. So you can kind of see the other leg from the other side over here, so we're gonna try and get that in, but it's not really much that you can see. Now for his hind limb, we want to start drawing a line like this, and it's kind of going outwards, so you won't really see too much of his upper leg, and then it kind of goes like this, and it touches the ground over here. And the shape of his legs are actually pretty similar to that of a crocodile, I would say. So just something like this, and I would say his knee would be about over here somewhere, so I'm gonna adjust this just a little bit, something like this. Alright, so now we only need to put in the other hind leg, and I'm not sure where I'm gonna put that one in, so let's see. Well, I could just, no, I'm just gonna do it over here just to keep it even, like this. Now we do want to pay attention to the way that his tail is touching the ground, so we need to pay attention to the fact that it needs to touch the ground. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. So it is touching the ground right now, and now I'm just basically gonna draw the rest of his tail to match it. And draw a bump over here, and then just draw his belly and finish the rest of the drawing as well. So what you could do at this stage is just go over everything with a darker pencil, and that's what I'm gonna do. Or just it's not about going over it with a darker pencil, you can also just go over it with a finer pencil, like what I'm gonna do in about a few seconds. Or you could just erase everything very lightly and then go back over it so that it looks a little cleaner. So the whole reason that you are going over it is so that it will look a little cleaner. So I'll be back. Okay, and I'm back. So what we need to do now is figure out exactly where we want to put his eye. I'll just be using this piece of paper to not smudge the drawing too much. So let's see, I need to get a good reference photo so I can see exactly where his eye is supposed to be. Alright, so what I'm seeing here is that he has an eye ridge over here, which is very close to the top of his head, to be honest. Not really sure why it's so close to the top of his head, but we'll just go with it. So just draw kind of a oval circle kind of thing over here, and just draw a little circle at this area as well, and then just draw a line, a curved line that goes from over here all the way, almost all the way to the front of his skull. And then right in the middle, a little bit more to the front of his skull is, to the front of this hole, closer to this side is his eye, which is a very small ovally kind of circle, like that. So I am not sure if you could see it correctly, if you could see everything very clearly. I truly hope so. Alright, so now let's see, we could make a ridge over here, kind of, the nose over here, something like that, and we could darken this a little bit, just get a little bit of shadow in it, and kind of let it touch the eye a little bit so that you have a nice shadow effect. And a few wrinkles, of course, but I'm pretty sure you can't really see that too clearly because of the camera. So now we need to figure out where the muscles are and what areas are going to be shadowed and what areas aren't going to be shadowed. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line like this. I'm pretty sure a lot of the reptile kind of animals have this line. I'm not really sure why it's there, but it is there mostly of the time. And we're gonna basically leave a little bit of a highlight over here and darken everything else on the bottom. So yeah, this part I'm just gonna skip to the part where I'm done, and then I'll be back. Alright. Alright, I'm back. I'm done. And now we want to put in a kind of a muscle structure over here. Darken this whole bottom area of his throat, but leave a highlight, and leave a pretty big highlight over there as well, and kind of make the shadow go on all the way until you are at the front limb, and then just kind of create a shadowy area over here as well, because of this muscle over here, and kind of a little bit, just a tiny little bit of shadow over there. And we can have a couple of wrinkly lines over here as well. Kind of to get into the front limb. So we want to leave a highlight, of course, but we do want to get a couple of muscles in there as well. Just a couple of lines will be enough, but we don't want to go overboard too much. So let's say that would be, well, actually, let's not make too much of the muscles at this area, because I'm pretty sure that a lizard leg looks kind of more rounded and less kind of muscular, in my opinion at least. So at the inside it would be very dark, so I'm just gonna darken that area. And now we could expect a few ribs to actually show, so those ribs go like this. So I'm just gonna make sure that those ribs are visible through a little bit of shadow, of course, but I'm making sure that the highlight stays there. So this is a pretty hard part to actually do correctly. And now I can kind of create a couple of rounded scales at this line. Maybe a couple of more of those scales. But not too many of them. So I think this would be just about fine. And you do need to pay attention to the areas that are the areas where there is supposed to be a little bit of shadow. So I'm not sure if my camera is focusing right, because it's a little bit blurry, to be honest. So now we can actually get this area a little bit, give this area a little bit more shadow as well, but not too much. And then we can get a couple of scales at some random places to kind of make it look like there's still a lot of detail going on over here. And we also need to draw in the teeth, so I'm gonna zoom in for this area just a little bit. So I hope that it's still alright. So for the teeth, we basically want to draw one teeth that goes up over here, just one, and all the other teeth will go down. So there's going to be one very large one over here, a small one between these two, and then there's a large one over here again, and from here on they just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So that would be fine. And now we can darken this line a little bit more, get also a little bit more shadow underneath his lower jaw, and of course the jaw shadow over here, the jaw muscle shadow, but make sure you do have those highlights there. So now basically what we could do is draw a line up here, also to kind of indicate that there's a little bit more detail going on there as well. And now we can basically draw in the shadow on his hind legs. And with the shadow we can also draw in those wrinkles that you kind of have everywhere on a lizard body. Like this. So we do want to make a knee over here with, of course, a lot of those wrinkly lines again. His part of his foot will be very dark. We have an ankle over here. The underside of his foot will be very dark, and we can only see one more toe over here. But you can't really see it too good because it's so small. So we won't really pay too much more attention to detail at that area. So I'm trying to keep a highlight between his this hind leg and this one, so it's not a case where it seems like this area is kind of deformed. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out again. And now we want to have a little bit of shadow going into his tail. But there is a muscle in his tail, so we don't want to... we want to have that muscle to be kind of shown, so we can't go over the highlight of that muscle, because otherwise it will just fade into the drawing and you won't be seeing that detail, that little extra detail again. So I'm just gonna skip to the part where I did this. Alright, so that's done. Now I wanna get this shadow area in for the cast shadow of the muscle in his tail. So I'm also just gonna draw this very dark But yeah, if you don't know what you're doing yet, don't go too dark. If you're just sketching it out and you think that you found something but you first want to try it out, don't go too dark, otherwise you won't be able to erase it again, which would be a huge shame actually, because I had plenty of times where I had to erase, and actually because I didn't go too dark I could still erase it. And yeah, I kind of want to encourage you guys to not go too dark when you're first starting out. So I'm just randomly placing a little bit of shadow everywhere on his head, because I don't think there's enough detail yet in his head. But we actually don't have the time to do that, because I still have to make sure that this will be done right. So basically what you could do is you could get very much detail into this area, or you could just leave it like this. You could also put a little bit of shadow in it so that it looks cool, and you don't have to put too much of detail in this area. And basically I don't like that line, and I'm afraid that I just went too dark, but it's okay. I can still erase it. I mean, it's not gone completely, but it's gone to a point to where I can still adjust it a little bit, so this looks 10 times better. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of shadow in it. Just next to that line, just put a little bit of extra darkness in it. Make sure that the shadow area is larger on the top than it is on the bottom of this line, of these lines, and then I'm sure everything will be fine. So yeah, I'll be back when I did every line. Okay, so I am back and now we only need to do a little bit of cross-hatching lines to kind of get the shadow to look right. So I'll zoom in a little bit and I'll show you what I'm gonna do everywhere, and then I'm gonna skip to the part where I did everything. So I'm just gonna draw a couple of lines like this, very dark lines, and at areas like this there's not gonna be much that I can cross hatch, just a couple of lines. I'll just keep a couple of lines there, but at areas like this we have a lot of space to actually play around and do something with the cross hatching lines. And I'll just be doing something like that everywhere, and it kind of gives a nice effect of scales, and it also gives you a nice effect of the shadows. So yeah, I'll skip to the part again to where I am done. Alright, so I'm done doing the cross hatching lines. Now I do want to add a little bit of texture to his, well, not texture, but a little bit of a design to his body, much like the Spinosaurus of Jurassic Park 3, which had those, well, actually this design on his fin, but now I just want to put it on his body, kind of a ring design thingy, which will kind of make it a little bit cooler. And actually I did forget one area, so I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and now I truly am done with the cross hatching lines. I could get a little bit more detail above his eye, like so, and kind of make these scales look a little bit bigger, make it look a little bit more aggressive. Now I want to get a little bit of shadow between the teeth, so you can kind of see the teeth a little bit more. They kind of stand out just a tiny little bit more, and it's almost like the teeth cause this little bit of shadow. So let's look at it like that. And just a couple more lines that go like this. So now I could only just put down a couple of rings over here on his tail, and they kind of change from being rings to becoming more of a striped pattern area until we are all the way at the end of his tail. Something like this. So yeah, now the only thing you need to do is erase the lines that you don't need anymore. Okay, that's done. Now the only thing I need is my autograph, the name of the dinosaur or creature, and the year, of course. Alright, and then we are done. Well, we could actually put in an eye, which I kind of forgot to do. Alright, so yeah, we are pretty much done. Yeah, this was a very quick version of how to draw the Dimetrodon, and I hope you liked it. So if you liked the video, leave a like, comment below what you think about the video and the drawing in general, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a single video. So this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.